Welcome back to our day-long coverage, Proud to be Indian, here on Republic TV. Ladies and gentlemen, tell us what makes you proud to be an Indian. And it gives me immense pleasure, deep joy to introduce to you someone who I feel so proud to call a friend. And he has succeeded despite all the odds. I'm joined by Ashish Goyal, who is the first visually impaired student at the Wharton Business School. And today, he has created more than a mark for himself across the entire world as a financial whiz-kid and a global macro investor. All I can tell you is that he does very complicated things in the world of wealth and finance. In 2015, he was named Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum. Viewers, before I talk to you and talk to Ashish, this is his inspiring story.
At the young age of 22, Ashish Goyal lost his vision due to a rare disease, but that did not hamper his ambitions. Ashish enrolled at the Wharton Business School to become the first visually impaired student. He later worked as the Chief Investment Officer for JP Morgan. Ashish is a recipient of India's National Award for the Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities. He was named a Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum. Over 50,000 US dollars raised by him in the past 3 years have aided disability research and education of underprivileged Indian children. Republic TV salutes Ashish Goyal.
Ashish, happy Republic Day. Thank you for joining me from London. Ashish.
Happy Republic Day to...
And
It's
Ashish,
an absolute pleasure. Happy Republic Day to you and to everybody else.
Ashish, for all those people watching today across India, we heard the story about how you lost your vision at the age of 22. Tell me about your life after that. Tell all our viewers about your life after that, and I want people to be inspired by your stories, your challenges, and your achievements, Ashish. Please.
Sure. Actually, if I can take the liberty of starting slightly before 22, I've lived two different lives actually. One, growing up with this disease called retinitis pigmentosa, which has no cure at the moment. I started losing my sight when I was 7, and through my teenage years, I suffered through this gradual decline in eyesight. And by the age I was 19 or 20, I was almost broken completely as an individual. I thought I had no future. And from then, things changed, and I got a lot of support from my family and my spiritual mentor, Dr. Sri Balaji Tambe. And after that, I started my second innings, as they call it. And I have taken baby steps towards relearning things, reliving life, and trying to achieve what I always wanted to achieve. And I'm sitting here today in London with you, and it's an absolute dream that I'm living. I feel very lucky to be where I am right now.
Ashish, you are today recognized in one of the best global firms and multiple global firms where you worked as a person with an astute mind, and you have held positions that people with, with any impediment, any difficulties, leave alone retinitis pigmentosa, people would have said it's impossible for a person with this illness to achieve these dreams. I want you to tell everyone watching today, and by the way, viewers, I also want to say this about Ashish. He's been honored with a national award for the empowerment of persons with disabilities and also the Joseph Wharton Award. So the incredible thing about you, Ashish, is that you have inspired people, and I'm sure there are many people who tell you, to share the most difficult moments in your career so far and in your life so far. But I want you to tell people about your achievements. Tell us about the biggest achievements in your mind that you've made, and how how you've dealt with the circumstances that your unique position would have made difficult for you at that time. What do you tell yourself?
Absolutely. So, like I said before, I have had an amazing support system actually, starting with my parents. My father, who actually is the real hero in my life, he comes from literally zero. When he came to Mumbai at the age of 18, 20, he had nothing. He worked and paid for his education, and then he became a successful businessman. To my mother, who's highly qualified, was a professor before her marriage, and my two sisters, who are stars in themselves, one a dermatologist and the other who's much more well-known globally and in India than I am. And then I have a lovely wife who's a doctor and who supports me all the way through. To add to that, through my difficult times, I was very lucky to come across my spiritual mentor and guide, Dr. Shri Balaji Tambe, who actually engendered a sense of, strong ethical and principled living, and absolutely no fear of any situations or the ability to fight any situation. Like I said before, when I lost my sight from being a broken individual, I started taking baby steps towards relearning and reinventing myself. And all I did was I took chances without any fear in my mind. Because for me, there was nothing worse than where I was. And every small gain was a victory in itself. And all I wanted to do was try. If I did not try, that was a failure for me. And so for me, every step I've taken,
so Ashish, you're saying your risk,
thinking.
You became, so sorry to interrupt there, Ashish, but you're saying your risk-taking appetite, your risk-taking ability, actually has enhanced, and that makes you take more risks, as you said, take more chances, because you feel you have nothing to lose, you give it your all. Is that what you're saying? Because just trying to understand where you come from.
What I'm trying to say is that I've become I've become much more optimistic as an individual, and I always try and look at the positive side of things. Because for me, when you have two decisions, either you try something or you don't try something. And when you don't try something, you will not be able to achieve it anyways. So if you try, there are two outcomes. Either you achieve it or you don't achieve it. And it's very simple. Unless I try, I don't achieve that outcome. And so I always give myself the best opportunity to try and achieve something.
That's beautiful.
Or try and live a normal, quote unquote, normal life, as people say. And that's what I'm trying to do every day.
Well, I think the biggest learning from listening to you today is that you don't procrastinate at all. Risk taker, achiever, has been through all difficulties in life, but why I wanted people on this Republic Day to listen to you, and Ashish, I am your biggest fan, is because you have not allowed anything to come in the way of your dreams. And I think you put it across very well. Now, there is someone in my team, Gunjan, who's from our digital desk, who wants to talk to you. In fact, there are a lot of questions coming in for you, Ashish. Gunjan.
Sure.
Mr. Goyal, it is a true honor to talk to you today. You are an inspiration for all youngsters.
Absolute pleasure.
What is your advice for youngsters facing obstacles, may it be a dream job or a college application?
See, it's very simple as far as I'm concerned. All I can say is that it's very easy to blame the system or blame your luck. But unless you yourself are convinced that you're 100% prepared for what you're trying for, you cannot blame anybody else. So my advice would be to, give it your best shot. Always try your best, and then leave the outcomes to how things pan out. And sometimes they pan out for the good, they don't pan out for the good. So it's always easy to move on once you've given it your best shot. But if you don't give your best shot, then you end up always wondering, what if I had put in a couple of hours more every day, or what if I had done something else extra? So be true to yourself and give it 100%. That's all I'll say.
Ashish, you're an inspiration to all of us. The question I'm asking everyone today, what makes you proud to be an Indian? Give us as descriptive, because I know you can give us, you have all the time in the world and people want to listen to you. What makes Ashish proud to be an Indian?
Sure. I have to say that when you say proud to be an Indian, I think I have that feeling in every cell of my body. I think we come from a very unique country. I think we are one of the most inclusive, progressive, and welcoming countries in the world. We live like a community, all of us. I also know that we are very hardworking. We always have lived ethically, whether you look at the last 100 years or the last 100 years or 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And we have a very rich sense of tradition and culture, actually. We talk about, like I said, education and knowledge can really break barriers and make playing fields, level out playing fields. We have a Vedic knowledge, we have traditional knowledge in India, which is now coming back and globally being accepted. I think the science of the Vedas, the science behind our culture and our tradition is very strong. And the kind of people that we have in our country, there's so many inspirational people that you can learn from, whether it is the people around you or people you see on television, whether it's sports stars and things like that. I think the dynamism of the country, the dynamism of the culture, and the inclusiveness of the culture is something that really makes me be proud as an Indian, actually.
Yeah. And there's one more question for you, but on a lighter note, there are two other things, Ashish, we keep saying that makes us the greatest people in the world. First, if you know how to drive in India, you can drive anywhere in the world. That's my first. Second, Ashish, I keep saying this, if you can debate in India, you can debate anywhere in the world. We're the loudest, most passionate debaters. But that's on a lighter note. But I also think, Ashish...
I have two answers.
Yeah, go on.
I have two answers for you. Once, I think I've stopped debating now because it's very easy to, for people to keep shouting their points. But I have decided that, you can only tell people once or twice what you think.
Yeah.
And then you always have to have the ability to listen to others. So, and the other thing that I should mention on live television for the first time is that before I lost my sight, I actually learned driving on the roads of Mumbai at the age of 7.
Wow.
And I drove the length of Bombay when I was 12. Obviously, unfortunately, I don't advise that to any youngsters.
You shouldn't.
But I'm actually very happy I did that because after I lost my sight, I've not been able to drive. Although I did approach Daimler, McLaren, Mercedes to ask them if I could challenge the record of the fastest blind driver in the world. And their answer was fantastic. They said it's very risky for their brand and my life, so they wouldn't allow me to do that.
Well, I hope it happens one day. Nothing is impossible. But Ashish, one more thing. I think we are very gritty people.
Sure.
We are very gritty people. You are a great inspiration to us all. Every time I meet you and talk to you, I pick up something new. And one day, when we hope at Republic, you will come, visit our studios, meet all of us, talk to our team, and maybe speak to the entire audience. But one question comes from Shivani to Ashish in London.
Sure.
Ashish, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Investors always have a very interesting take on world economy. I just wanted to ask you, where do you see the world economy going and where do you see India's role? The 21st century is touted as India's century.
See, without getting into very specifics, I will say this, that the reforms that have taken place in India in the last 3 years are absolutely tremendous. I think the leadership is fantastic in India at the moment and the government is doing a great job. I think next decade is going to be India's decade. The world looks pretty healthy. The only risk I see is of some sort of trade wars that might happen between different countries because there's no one power in the world at the moment. I think the world is in a bi or a tri-power situation. And I'm comfortable with how the world is, keeping in mind that there are risks to the global environment, trade environment.
Okay.
But for India, I'm very happy with how the leadership is and what track we've taken.
Fantastic. Well, Ashish Goyal, see you soon, my friend. You make me proud to be Indian and happy Republic
Absolutely,
Day.
Arnab.
Happy Republic Day, Ashish.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Always a pleasure. Viewers, once again, what makes you proud to be an Indian? Tell us here at Republic. When I come back on the other side, I'll share some of the tweets that are coming in using the hashtag #ProudToBeIndian. Some very special guests and a very young guest who makes me delighted and so proud to be an Indian. We'll walk in with her onto the show when I come back in a few minutes.
Ashish Goyal is a recipient of India's National Award for the Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities 2010. He was awarded on 3rd December 2010 by President of India, Pratibha Patil, in New Delhi. In 2015, he was named a Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum. Exceptional stories that make India proud. Join the Proud to be Indian campaign on Republic TV. Republic Day Marathon coverage.